Hello, hello, hello. It's Private Talk Podcast with Alexis, Texas, and we are back season 6, and we have the pleasure of having Miss Joanna Angel in the studio.
It's so good to be back here.
Hello and welcome. I'm excited to have you. The last time we had you on the show, we were in Exotica, so it was a little chaotic. It was a little all over the place. So for me, it's like one of those things is that, you know, we've known each other for a long time, and I felt like it was only proper to have a sit-down conversation and catch up, and not only, but just like see what you have going on and
now
more
you're
like
on the East Coast.
I am.
We're both on the East Coast now.
Yes.
You know?
So I felt like it was, you know, we've been trying to like get together. So I felt like let's clink it off here at Private Talk and like let's rebirth this friendship.
I'm
and,
glad you moved your podcast over.
Yes.
You know?
We've been having a lot of fun. It's been definitely, you know, season 6 has been challenging in the beginning, but I think we're off to a really good like start. We have a great studio, great space. We have a great team.
No, this
and
is
I think
great
that
here.
we're rocking and rolling.
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited to have my favorite rock and roller here.
Oh, I know. I came in. Everybody was like, "Wow, you're a rock star." I'm like, "Me? It's
Alexis,
funny, Texas here."
You know, they're used to having me here. You know, I'm like, you know, the queen over here. But you know, they also, you know, royalty when they come into the building. I mean, like everyone to have their props and their flowers. And so I think that it's, you know, no better way to give you a proper in welcoming to the Private Talk, you know, podcast again. Yeah. For sure. So what have you been up to? I know that you were all over the place. You were at AVN.
I was at AVN,
were in Miami a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you were all over the place, which you were just, you know, such a mogul and have such an, you know, iconic brand in this industry.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is a very, you know, strange time in life. Like I feel like I've always had like a plan, and I do not really have one right now.
Okay.
Which is kind of freeing and kind of terrifying at the same time.
Well,
let's
get into it.
But you know, I have a few things that I'm now like working on that I don't want to like say anything until I know they're like
so let's break
definite,
down of like what not having a plan is. Like let's talk about like, okay, Miss Joanna Angel, like you've been such a structured like, you know, person from the beginning.
Well, I own, you know,
in a sense, like you own your own business, you've done all these things, but it's like in our industry, I feel like there's never really structure, right? We have structure business-wise and brand-wise and things that we want to do, but it's also a business where we also age, regardless if we want to believe it or not. So that means like sometimes our likes, our wants, our needs are different. So we are evolving in certain things.
And life just, so, you know.
What has changed about, and the thing of like, as far as you like planning, like let's talk about that a little bit more, like be in depth of like, everyone obviously knows that you are a businesswoman.
Yeah.
What is you not having a plan really
and, you know,
means?
In addition to, like, I think before I was, sometimes I think I'm actually a terrible businesswoman, but I've always been very, like, excited. Like, I've always been a creative person, and I get excited about making my creativity come to life, and I'm pretty good at forcing it down people's throats. Like I love everything that I do, and then I want it. People are like, "You're good at marketing," and I'm like, "I don't know if I'm good at marketing. I just will not stop until whatever I did succeeds." Or I put myself in these do or die situations where it's like, I'm going to make this movie that I can't even afford to make, or that's what I used to do, and I'm just going to make it successful. Like I just will do it, and I'm going to figure it out, even if it makes no sense and it's like not following any trends or like whatever. But you know, that was many years ago. I owned my own production company for quite some time, and that was my whole identity, my whole brand, my whole life. You know, when you own a business, you don't go home from work, and you know the business was Burning Angel, and I'm Joanna Angel. Yeah. You know, like it was me, and you know, and that's not mine anymore. And you know, and then I had like my own whatever. I came to peace with that. And I was, you know, glad that I did it. And then I made the decision to move back to the East Coast because I've always loved the East Coast. It always felt like home, you know, and I felt like everything I came to LA to do, I did. And the things that I was still doing there weren't, you know, consistent enough, or, you know, I didn't need to live there to do the handful of things I was still doing in LA. And most of them, I barely go back at all, you know? Yeah. So there's that. And then, so I think people started to really like associate my brand was kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think me and my husband kind of had a little brand of our, I guess, I don't know. I don't really know, you know, that was a big part of my, I guess, brand and identity. And then that is over. Well,
Okay.
I mean, I guess not. I guess there's still details of the
Okay.
final logistics work out, but we're not together anymore. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's pretty public and everybody.
Yeah. Now
knows.
people know.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really need to share like the specific details of what happened.
That's
You
your
know,
business,
it just, but it's over. That's for sure. And I am okay with that. You know, it was, you know, I sort of initiated that. So.
Okay.
You know, but, and I was living in Brooklyn, and that is also where my family lives. Well,
was it
some
business
members
related, or is
or
it
what?
just like the relationship wise, as far as like, is it business related, or is it more of just personal?
Oh, honestly, like, I'm going to say personal, like
Okay.
a lot of, it's weird because people love to just generalize porn and they think they get it when they don't. And it's like, unless you've lived it, like you really don't understand, you know, what it's like to be in this business and to be in a relationship, you know, it's complicated, but it's not complicated in the way that everybody thinks it's complicated. Like the fights that people think that we have are not actually the fights that people have. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like everybody's like, well, don't you get jealous? Like, I feel like jealousy is the last thing that's an issue in like
but I also
a porn
think
star relationship.
That
but
I agree with that. Obviously, have been being in one prior to before, same things, whatever. I feel like yes and no. I think that it's a jealousy of certain, like the external, what people really think jealousy is. The internal jealousy is where it stems from, is because people, you know, with ourselves, everybody has like our underlining things, whatever. So it's like we still need validation. Especially from our partner, you know what I mean? So there's where the cracks lie of like where that could be misconstrued as far as like that part. Like for myself, personally.
It gets very complicated.
For sure, and that's why I think communication.
And I've now been through it twice.
A big thing, and like in these situations, and it's like again too, it's like you can't be hard on yourself of you trying again, and you say it's like your second time, but. Love is love. And you love who you love, and everyone has experiences and expiration dates of certain things, and people either come from a time, a reason, or a season. Yeah. And, you know, you have to just indulge and embrace those moments that you had that are beautiful and take the things that you need and pass to things.
There's, you know, I'm in a very different time in life, but a few people who, you know, I spoke to afterwards, you know, not in the industry, you know, I was like, oh, we're separating, whatever. And then I remember somebody said, well, yeah, I can imagine like, it's probably really hard to have a relationship in your industry. I'm like, first of all, it's not my industry. Yeah. And second of all, like, that's such a weird thing to say. Like, we were together for 12 years. Like, don't you think like if that was an issue, like how would we have lasted that long, you know? And I honestly think, without getting into like too many details, like I honestly think towards the end, like I think the porn was the only thing keeping us together. Like, you know, I think our personas were married and
as far as like a growing apart thing.
I think the real us weren't really meshing, and the only times we were feeling that, you know, that magic or that connection was when we were doing something public together. Okay. And sometimes it was hard and confusing to be like, oh, everything's fine. And it was like, oh no, we were just kind of both playing a role, if that makes any sense. Well, I think I was never playing a role because I'm a very bad actress. I don't know. I think I was always just being me, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Yes, but I was really just playing myself.
But I think that also it's again, and it's I appreciate you for being open and sharing. Like I said, this is a safe place, and it's not a judgment things, whatever. I'm
not even saying any. You know,
and this is just surface of just identifying just a relationship in the business of women of what we've been through and like what we experience, and those things like that is like why I say I pull my own self and like to make it like relatable.
I mean, you know,
it's those things of like. It's just different, right? So it's like it's a level of like, yeah, you can have your securities and those things or whatever, but you don't also know your securities until they're tested. Yeah. So at certain times you believe and you want that certain things, and then also we grow apart and we grow apart from each other. And like you said, like maybe sometimes
I will say jealousy was not at all any part of any issue we particularly had. You know, it was just personality differences that I think became more and more apparent when porn wasn't our whole lives anymore. I think like we stepped away from porn, and it was like not the center of our universe anymore, and it was like, oh, Anyway,
so okay. With that being said, let's talk about in that sense. So that chapter's closed. Now it's on new beginnings. You're in a different space. And it's still a grieving space, whatever, because all those relationships need to be that time. But what is dating like now?
Oh my God!
Like coming out of those things, like you've been with someone who's for 12 years,
God, and in the industry.
So now you're like now into this what we say the civilian world. How is dating in that world?
It's been really,
because let me guess, you can't go on a dating site, right?
Okay, so I actually just went on one like a few days ago. Oh. Okay, I did. And I'm already going to take myself. I'm not even going to say it because
as it gets flooded. By the time you take yourself off, I don't think.
And I did go on one date.
Oh, how'd it go?
It was fine, but
what kind of date was it? Like, was it coffee? Like a
no,
dinner
it was
date?
It was like a drink and like a small
because like now that new age of what I'm told, because I can't go on those things either because it's either catfish or these things or whatever.
No, and the guy was like, I was so sure this wasn't going to be you that was showing up.
But
And
are you going under as Joanna Angel?
Yeah, I don't want to put my real you know what I mean? So it's like I have to put a last name, and I don't want to put my real last name, and like. I don't know. I don't want to hide.
You don't have it on your ID.
What?
You don't have that on your ID.
Yeah, I know. But then my last name is public on a public website, you know? And I also I don't know. I don't want to hide that. And I mean, it's
I don't think
obvious
you should
anyway.
hide it
like
by
with me,
any
like
means.
With my tattoos and like what, like it's like.
But I guess maybe I'm also navigating it myself because it's like if I were to ever, I couldn't imagine putting Alexis Texas on there because that's not only like that's
I know.
like
I wish you could just put a first name.
You know what I mean? Like a stage name.
I
Clearly,
know.
yours is. I mean, Angel too is a little like.
Is Alexis your real name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joanna is. I think that was from our generation.
Yeah. So that's why
I feel like a lot of stars from
I can't be any other name that I don't know to called. I know. And I was like, but now I also know not to answer my name at all because I'm like, I'm not looking back there. Like, who's talking to me?
And it was this particular dating site that just kind of, I don't know. It showed up on my Instagram and I thought it was cute. It was like a unique concept for one. It wasn't like.
Did you fuck him?
No.
Would you have?
What?
Would you have?
No, that was the problem. Like, oh God,
I
wonder if he's still because I haven't really broke the news that I just want to be friends.
Okay,
he was so
we
nice.
still have about like 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, I'll make sure to do it. He was really nice.
I'll let you know before we put the episode
and like
to make sure you break
I
up
also, I do want to make new friends, and it's hard to make friends, these days.
Forward. Fuck the
I liked him. I thought he was a nice person, but no.
But y'all went on an actual date, and it's actually Joanna Angel, so he knew who you were.
He knew who I was,
or knew the name.
Okay, so he was actually very good about it, and I will give
what does
everybody.
That mean?
And this has now happened with a few guys.
Not on the dating site. My own knowledge.
Yeah,
you're what the fuck's going on?
Okay, so he knew, but he when we were talking on the when we were just like texting for a little while.
So this is
I was asking. Yeah, okay. I was like, I was just mostly asking him questions about his work. He did not say what it. No, it was just small talk. I don't know.
Okay, but because for me, it's like also like that's. I sometimes don't ask those questions because I don't want to be asked that questions, right?
Well,
so it's
it was
in those times if your name is obviously putting it out there, which I think is a great thing because you're being forward and laying it all on the table of like, take me as I am. I used to do that with my Instagram. I'm like, hey, here's my Instagram. You can find out who the fuck I am. If you're not, fuck you too. But
okay. So, because he said something about owning a business, so he talked about owning a business, and then together we were just sort of talking about like, I was like, oh yeah, I used to own a business, and he was like, oh, and he didn't ask what kind or anything. For a while, and then at a certain point,
and then he DM'd on OnlyFans.
No. He was like, he was like, so what kind of business did you run? And I just said, it's really polite of you to pretend that you didn't know. I don't know if you really don't know or if you're pretending you don't know, but either way, you're doing the right thing. And he was like, do you want me to keep lying, or do you want me? So he knew.
Okay, so you
and we were already talking for like
Joanna.
2 days.
Okay, you got some game there.
Me,
okay.
I have game.
I mean, that to me is a gamey like type of thing. That to me is like your balls are out on the table. You're like, look, I know what it is, face value what it is, because like sometimes I think for as women we have to almost put the ball in their court because they're intimidated by us for whatever reason. And even again, like if it's only based off you putting your name completely out there, like on the dating site, whatever, that's a big step because you know what that's coming back to you, or you don't know what's coming at you at all. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I think that that's what is the disconnect with dating in this world now is like there's so many like gray areas where people don't lay all their cards on the table.
I know.
So I feel like for you, and again, that's why asking more of the questions for myself, I'm like knowledgeable. I'm like, I'm single too. I'm like, but this doesn't, for me, dating apps, I feel like is not something that is obtainable in our past based off without being judgment based, whatever, and not judgment that they care, whatever. But for me, it's like I already have a high wall up of like, Lexus Texas is, but just be honest.
Yeah.
I'd rather me know the honest value and then I could take it where direction I need it to be for you to like,
but it's like anyone who's like led with that, like the few people that I've wound up connecting with, whether we wound up sleeping together or not, like they kind of just pretended, or they just ignored it until later. They're like, "Oh, well, yeah, I've known who you are."
Fan.
Yeah, but you can't lead with that, and then it became like, it is weird being. Like, I don't know if you're the same way, because, like, when I go somewhere, when people are like, oh, you get recognized and this and that, I'm like, I get mad when I do and mad when I don't, Like, when you don't, you're like, oh, does nobody like me anymore? Am I old news? And then when you do, it's like, oh, just leave me alone. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know. There's a way to bring it up where it's, like, flattering that they're a fan, and it's not weird and invasive, And it also just depends on their personality in general.
And the environment, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, you don't want to feel like you're on like a talk show or something if somebody's just like asking you like you're on a red carpet, like the whole date becomes like asking you questions about the industry, like, oh, so what's this and what's that, like you don't want it to be like that.
I always have a rule. It's like, especially like with people, not necessarily like if I'm dating them, but like when their friends start to come around and I'm like, y'all have 3 questions, get them out now. Yeah. And then after the 3, there's only 3, so get them out now. Yeah. And then we can like get it off the table, because I also know it's intriguing, right? And it's also for me is knowledge is power. I'm really big on communication, so for me it's like I'd rather you ask me than assume, because most times your assumptions are wrong. I know, but I expect people to like and I'm sure you have the same. I have many friends that are in big bands or or whatever, in sports and whatever, skateboarders, and I would never sit and talk to them and ask them a million questions about their jobs and their, I treat them like people. And if things come up, you know? And I also I think porn stars are the only people that get this, or the only type of celebrity that get this. People always want to ask me, and I'm sure the same thing happens to you or all of us, questions about the industry. Like we're all the same, or we're all like a spokesperson, like, especially now, I don't even know, the industry is so all over the place. Like, I don't even really know what the industry exactly is. I mean, because it spans in so many, like there's like the industry I know is very different than what the industry is. And they want to just ask like these vague general questions. It's like, if you really want to ask a question, like ask a question about me. Like, have you ever blah, blah, blah. Or how did you feel about this? Which is still annoying, but like they want to ask like vague. It's like, you could look that up on the internet. I don't know. I can't answer. But I think that comes from like the ignorance and like the misconception of like we all are the same and like we're all one breed or we're all one like this or that or the other, where it's like, especially now where it's like everybody from, there's different like levels of porn, and there's different genres of porn, there's different entry levels of porn, there's different times of from DVD to VHS to fucking Blu-ray to fucking internet to, people just assume it's like all PPV, one, like, they assume we're like all one. And the thing is I think again why I love my show is why I say like private talk is like we're not just what our job is, right? Like for me, it's like porn never identified who I was. It's a big part of who I am,
right?
But it doesn't identify who my core is. So like I like to get to the core of what it is, and the surface level is that does stem from a lot of, especially this porn stars and those things. Like with us, it's like we have a rooted level of sexuality. We have a rooted level of understanding people's sexuality, if it's not our own or not, whatever, and navigating what those things are and like educating people too. And that's why we did what we were doing at those times, especially with you being a business owner and wanting to show certain like genres of porn and knowing how you could do it on your level, and your creativity is what I think is missing in this era of what's going on in the adult, whatever, is like, I think there's less creativity of the creative aspect of like movie roles of now, and it's just plainly like sex work, which is okay too. It's just you shift now differently, right? So why you sold your company, why you're doing certain things, and like, but also still relevant in the game you're in, is because you still value and appreciate those values of what those things came from. And we just have to, like, eras change, move through them, you know what I mean, and navigate what those are. And that's, I think, was a beautiful thing of now with the platforms like OnlyFans and those things, and even the existing companies like Brazzers and Vixens that are still around now, that are doing beautiful projects that are still like, you know, making your brand, you know, still sing through the people that are, we can't get through marketing on those levels, on certain levels, you know what I mean? But I think it's just a different evolution.
Oh yeah,
of porn.
It's very different. I will say, you know, if anybody has seen it or hasn't seen it, like I got, you know, and I directed for so long, and I really like. There was a time where I was like really creatively burnt out. You know, like it's a dream come true where it's your job to be creative, but when it's your job to be creative, like it can actually get stressful, especially with the quantity you have to put out in the porn industry. It's like I was pumping out a movie every month, like you know what I mean, like you need a new idea every month, and that's why everybody starts to make series, you know, like so you know, I was creatively burnt out, and you know, it's not what I do anyway, and people on OnlyFans, they want just straight to the point, you know, stuff. But, you know, in November or whatever, I got, for the first time in so long, I got inspired, you know, with Luigi, you know, when I saw the news. It also happened like 3 blocks away from where I live. Like it happened right near me, you know, and like, just, I don't know. I mean, it was such crazy news, you know, that this like gorgeous murderer was, you know, out on the run, and he's standing up for the people, and like, I don't know, and everything, like all the funny TikToks and all the like, and I just felt like I was in the middle of it, you know, and I was like, I have to make a porn about this. Like I felt this like inspiration that I hadn't felt in so long, you know, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm just gonna put it on my OnlyFans, you know. And I really had a great time, because it's almost like I got to make this like mini, like I wrote a script, I did everything. It's like I didn't have to do it the old school way. I'm like, I could shoot this tomorrow, and I could shoot it on a cell phone. I don't need a lighting guy. I don't need a whole crew. I don't need this. I don't need that. Like, there's no rule that, like, you know, just because there's a plot that it needs to be shot in a certain way, you know. And I shot it in a certain way where, like, you know, I put the whole plot on like Instagram. You know what I mean? I didn't have to shoot like all this nonsense, so like, you know what I mean, like, you know, and when we shot features, there was just all these all this stuff you had to do to make it not fun, or you know, things you had to do to make it not relatable, or like even like be able to make sense as a piece of pop culture. It just, at a certain point, it's gonna look like a porn, you know what I mean? Like I really felt like I was able to just, I don't know, just kind of do what I want. And I had a lot of fun with it.
With that being like such a, like, it was something that was current news, that was crazy. Like, people were torn on each side. Like, what was the feedback on that?
I mean, everybody loved it, and now it's kind of making its rounds again, because he just had like a viral
moment.
Yeah, and I had a lot, and I actually, which I got to have, I haven't done anything like this in so long. I had like an actual like release party for it, even though it was just like a scene on my OnlyFans. I had it at like a comedy club, and all the comedians that came, I asked them to do like bits about either healthcare or murderers or prison or like whatever, you know, like, I'm like, if you have any, it's pretty vague, you know?
For me, I think that like what platforms like OnlyFans and those things do, whatever, for like creators like ourselves, is like, you could produce and do whatever you want on that kind of scale or whatever, and make it a thing. And it doesn't need to be this big production.
I'm not trying to win an award,
whatever, but it's fun for you. You had fun. You got your friends together that were like, you know, like comedians. You're at a place that you like. You're gathering people together. To me, like that's the like ambiance of like it should still be fun.
Yeah,
that's for me is like. Obviously, we like the sex part of what we do, but like to me, is I also like the fun element. It was like, you know, and for me, I always said like when I stop having fun, I'm gonna stop doing it because what's the point?
I felt like also as a person that loved creating and writing and making movies, it really did get frustrating sometimes that it felt like no matter what I did, and you know, a lot of the other directors, like they'll make these giant movies and, you know, and work so hard on it. Everybody's on set for 20 hours a day and like blah, 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 blah. And then like, it's still at the end of the day, just a porn. Like nobody's watching the plot. And I felt like I put my heart and soul into so much of this stuff. And it's like, nobody saw the beginning. Some people did, you know, some people did, but like not, you know, and I felt like I look back on it now, I'm like, oh, I felt like my movies, I was basically making TikToks before TikToks, you know, like if only I was making it now. But so I was able to really just shoot it like an Instagram video.
How you wanted to,
and then just had sex at the end. Like, you know what I mean? So I was able to make it.
That kind of inspired maybe a kickstart to like things like that now?
Yeah. So I
like,
want to, you know, maybe.
Like, you know, we go through things in life, right? So it's like, you obviously, you know, you just obviously said earlier about you being in a relationship for 12 years. You guys aren't together anymore. You go through levels where you navigate your porn career with a relationship, but now it's like single Joanna.
Yeah.
We're out
and
there doing those
yeah,
things back where now you're gaining more independence, freedom back, and like all those things. So not that you didn't have those in your relationship, but like it's different from having someone attachment to someone at all. And then doing it completely solely on your own, where it's like now
and
you
also
have
doing it without the industry around me. You know, being in New York, like I feel like, you know, being in LA and you're in this kind of hamster wheel, and even if, and I was always known for being different, but I felt like at a certain point it's very hard to be different in that, you know, in that world, in that scene. And I'm not even hating on anyone or knocking anyone. It's just there's a certain way of doing things and you just do them. I don't know. I can't explain it, you know?
I think that's also like the originality of like just who you are, and also why you can still be successful on your platform now with or without the industry.
Yeah.
And like, I think that for me, I think the time of like COVID really happened for me of knowing like
who you are.
Not necessarily who I was, but like the level of business of what we needed to do, where we thought like, oh, we have to go to this thing. We have to do this, like, travel more, or I'm not going to be so successful.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, no one can travel. No one can do anything, but we're still, I at the same time was fortunate enough to be like making still the same money, but doing different things and shifting, but knowing of what the value of what I had become and worked so hard for, of knowing what that wait for. Yeah. And so like now is like, I feel like is what's, you know, fortunate for, I feel like we're in the same kind of category of like where our brands kind of like flourished in those eras of where we were at, is why they can still do those things now, and we can still do what we want to do, if it's my podcast or you doing your shorts and doing those things and like all that stuff. It's which is like people still want to know what we're doing. Yeah, people are intrigued of what we're doing to do. Obviously, they always want to see us have sex. Yeah, we're good at that. Yeah, and I love doing it too, and that's why I think it's like now why I took a hiatus and coming back was I wanted to do it my way.
You did start shooting again recently, right? You did something with Dread, right?
I did something with Dread. I did 2 scenes with Dread. I did a scene for Jules.
Oh, you did?
I did 2. And then for me, it was just kind of like the industry changed. So for me, it was like...
But I feel like a Jules set is still a Jules set, right?
1,000. And that's why I chose him doing those like things for me, was because it was the most... closest things that it was for me is what porn was when I was in porn.
I mean, the few times I've gone back, and you know, I know they're not one of the old. Well, I mean, they're older now. It's funny because I still think of them as like a newer company, even though they've been around for 20 years at this point. But when I went back and worked for Brazzers a few times, I'm like, oh, it feels like going back to school. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything's, you know, even though there was a few different people, it was like
how
the same.
You feel like with Brazzers was how I was with Jules.
Yeah.
At the time I was shooting, Brazzers wasn't in booties,
right?
Unless it was wasn't doing it at the time. So for me, it's like I have obviously Brazzers scenes, but there's very few of them because it wasn't that big at the time.
I mean, it is now.
So for me, with Jules was more of a like, oh, this makes sense. And so it was like,
and that's where you're comfortable.
And I just kind of like, for me, and even with that, it was a great time and I loved the scenes I did, but it just showed me how different the business had grown or changed within the 5-6 years that I was not in it. And it was just very different navigating, because for me it was like, I don't know, it was more about ownership of like, I never really owned my own scenes because I didn't have I was working for so many other companies,
but that's how you were building your name.
Really know the importance of like having your own content for my website. And even when I had my website, I just didn't shoot actively for it. So my biggest thing was doing those things, but even doing that was like the industry changed so much as far as performers and this, that I didn't know who to shoot with. I didn't know who was who. I didn't know whatever. So I don't say that I'm not shooting, but I just don't really know what that looks like either. So I do something if I want to, but if not, whatever. Like for me, it's more of like, I just like that we have platforms at this point in our careers still to be able to just create and not have to show up on a set. I could do it at home. I could do it in a hotel room. I could do it on whatever, but it's on
it could be 5 minutes.
Terms,
it could be an hour.
There's not
there's not like a structure that you have to stick to, like you could have sex for as long as it feels natural. And if that's 10 minutes, if that's 5 minutes, I have updates that are 5 minutes and I have updates that are an hour and a half. And like everything can just kind of be, what feels natural, or just what just feels like.
What size feels natural for you, Joanna?
Okay. And that is a difficult thing. Being single, or being a porn star out in the world. It's like, I wish you could just ask a guy, like, I wish
top,
you could just say it.
So if you maybe you should do speed dating for sex workers.
Yeah. Cause
but I think that's almost unfair though too. So because why take everyone off the table? Because some people don't know if they don't like sex workers.
Yeah, but like, if I could have, and unfortunately, I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Like
be unapologetically yourself, Joanna.
If I click really well with someone and the date goes really well, but they're like, it's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
What's small to you?
But I will say, I think that is also a good thing. Like putting your brand out there and like people knowing that you do porn. I will say no one has bothered to, I haven't had to deal with that because I think like people aren't going to try if they have I don't think they're going to show up like that. I don't think they're going to show up to the party like that. So far, there hasn't been that many, so far nobody's been
you said
small.
That many, but that means they showed up to a party.
Yeah,
they were schmedium, or were they like?
Oh, no. I'm going to say. No, I mean, only on I've seen them on OnlyFans and stuff. No, I haven't had that.
I had
fortunately.
one time when I was in stages of porn. And this was like back in the day of like old school LA Direct, whenever Kevin was still there. And we did some scene, and there was this dude and literally I remember being like, and they found them on Craigslist.
Oh my God.
The last
I remember some of those.
I was like, what? So you're going to humiliate this little tiny and I'm like,
how would it? Yeah. Like I remember some of those mopes. They would have. But no, I haven't had to deal with that. But I do wish that I could. Yeah. But like.
You close your eyes too tight. I knew it was true. Did you fake an orgasm?
No.
You were just like.
I was like.
Like that's the one.
It was like a long time
even
ago.
With the like jerking, I was like, how do you even lie?
How do you do it?
How do you lie? But no, I knew how to do it because it was like a chapstick holder. But it was like, how do you lie and be like, this is any sexual other than like.
I don't know why you would want to show that, but whatever. But I wish you could just.
Micros need love too. I get it, but sometimes for me, I'm just too mouthy. Like I'm too honest, I think.
Yeah, but there are girls out there that don't like I'm just not.
There's a lot of girls.
Yeah, there are. There's a lot of girls in porn too. I used to like a lot of girls had.
There's a lot of girls in porn who don't like.
No, I know.
And I never understood that.
I know there's a lot. There's a lot.
It was funny because when I was,
and I
when
forget
I was
about those
directing for
sometimes.
Elegant Angel, we did a lot of go-sees, right, for movies we did. And there would be girls that would say that they didn't swap. And I'm like, well, why are
Some
you
of them,
in
they don't
porn?
want it in their face.
But why are you
either.
in porn?
Yeah.
If you can't them, you should not sign up for this job.
Well, you know.
And if you're allowed in, that's a problem. Like, I don't think that that's, I think, like, isn't that a requirement?
I mean, then where do you know, because, yeah, I have run into girls where there's, they don't want to
like, I
swallow
get
cum. They don't want it on their
things
face.
Like, like certain, whatever
They don't want
things.
to, they don't want it on, they don't want it in them either. So, like, where is it supposed to go? Like on the floor?
The math's not
I don't know.
Like,
because I've had that.
See that.
I've been there before when I'm like in a
So
boy
what'd
girl
you do?
scene. Well, I'm like, just put all the you know? I don't know. I'll take it. Yeah. Put it anywhere.
How many loads have you had at one time? Ooh, that was.
I mean, I did some of those movies back in the day where, like, with the mopes, you know, where it was like.
How many though?
I think there was one scene. God, it was called. It was one of those Vince Voyer movies. It was called The Gauntlet.
Oh,
and it
you
was
definitely were crawling if it was Vince Voyer.
Yeah.
I remember Vince Voyer was the like
like
king of crawling. You would be crawling around. It wasn't walking like back in the day. Like, you know, they would crawl and he'd make you do.
And then I don't know. It's like you would walk into a room and you would fuck one guy, and then you walk into another room and you'd fuck two guys, and then I don't know. And then at the end, and then all these guys would just come from
how many guys?
Nowhere.
5 guys?
I'd say maybe it was like 12.
We should get a sponsor from 5 guys.
Yeah, I think it was 12. I mean, the biggest like was 8 guys. You know, I did an 8 guy. Or
how'd that feel?
It was great. It was a good time.
Did you cut time?
I think it was a lot more than that.
So
I had a really
was
good
it
time.
Like you not even know, like
no,
it's
matter. Just like a world.
Because at those times, like I've only done one, but it's like they literally fuck you for 30 seconds. I'm like, don't stop! I didn't fucking leave yet.
No,
but
I mean,
like a lot. There's a big party, and they're all.
I was like stuffed the whole time. It was pretty good.
Oh, so you were.
It was a good
every
thing. It was
hole
a solid. Yeah.
Wait,
for like 45
it's called
minutes.
Airtight.
Yeah, airtight.
You did it airtight.
Yeah, it was like a and something in my mouth for like 40 minutes straight.
That's a lot. Good job.
Oh, come on, like you know.
I don't know. My thing is like I love porn, right?
Yeah.
But I never watched porn. And and then being in porn, everyone became my friend, so it was like I feel like I'm spying on your intimate like level. So I'm like, I don't know what you do, girl. I'll high five you and be like, woo, and cheer you along, but I don't know what you're doing while I'm following. I'm here for it. But
okay. So I have a question. I was actually going to post this on Instagram the other day, but I want to. And I was like, anyway, I'm going to ask it here because you are another old school porn person. Okay,
call me old bitch.
We're both pretty old, Alexis. Aren't we?
We young and beautiful, homie.
Okay, there's this term I keep seeing on Instagram, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody. What to the people out there? What is a bop? Do you know?
These people know, obviously.
No, like what is it? It's like my whole feed is like I'm a bop. No, but it's something else other than that. It's like a new thing with that girl that made like $50 million or whatever. And like I keep seeing it on my Instagram. You had a
lot of sexual partners.
What?
It just means you had a lot of sexual partners.
No, I don't know. I see. You don't know what it is.
But that's what.
Do you know what it is?
But they know what I know, because to me, like a bop, like that's like.
No. It is a new thing that came from these new OnlyFans girls. And I'm not throwing. Hey, I mean, they make way more money than me. And they look like they're having a lot of fun. They're always dancing. And I don't really know. It seems like a girl that dances a lot and makes millions and millions of dollars and is under the age of 25. And I don't even know. That's the thing. I don't know. Do they have sex? Do they have sex? Oh, see, this guy knows. You're probably a member of one of the. What is a bop? Tell me.
Are you a member of the bop?
Subscribe to the Bop House.
You subscribe? Okay, what is it? I just want to know. I'm not like hating.
Right.
Sophie Rain is her name. You know,
But what
and she's
does
very
that
adorable.
mean?
Sophie, if you're out there,
That just
you're
means
very
she
cute.
fucks a lot of people, though.
Does she fuck people? Oh, okay, I can't.
But that's
I
what
don't
that
know.
means, though. But she didn't brand that. She may have made that more light and awareness to it at this moment.
No. That's her thing. Is the Bop House, right? Yeah, and that's her house.
That means she made millions. That means she made millions. But you know what?
But now there's other girls that aren't her, and they're like, here's what life is like as a bop, or like you say that
means
bop.
the same thing if like if you were contracted to Joanna Angel, and you were like that, those are her bops. Your contract girls are her bops.
But like just the way, like I've seen it used as a noun and an adjective and a verb, and like I just don't exactly know like what does it mean? Do you have to live in that house? Because I've now seen many other girls in front of other houses also calling themselves.
They want to inspire to be a bop, which means a fucking hoe in the house that's fucking glorifying her pussy to be fucked by hundreds of fucking men on OnlyFans. That's what that means.
I don't. Are they having sex? Are these bops having sex, or are they just dancing? She is. Okay, no, that's good. I'm good to know that. I'm happy to know that because I didn't get that impression. There just seems to be a lot of dancing.
This is the thing. Is the new generation
I don't know how to dance.
of bops.
So can I be a bop?
Them,
I do not know how to dance, but I do know how to fuck. But I'm very old, so like, could I be
you're the
a
house
bop?
mom of the bops. You could be a house mom.
Do they need a chaperone?
Maybe you need to like
do
inquire
they need
for a house mom position that you will teach them the knowledge. If they're crying at night, you'll let them know.
they're the ones
it's
making
okay.
millions of dollars. Maybe I don't need to teach them anything, but they might need someone
It's just guidance. It's not the teaching. It's just the
to tuck them in at night or something.
Yeah, knowledge.
Yeah, and I am not like
whoever president of the bops, can she be a part of the membership? I know you're watching. If you're a bop, I know you're watching Private Talk.
I just want to know.
I appreciate your watching.
I'm not even saying I want to be.
We need Joanna Angel.
I just want to know what it is. Like I'm a person that I feel like I've always known. Like even if I wasn't part of something in the industry, I knew exactly what it was, and I knew. You know, like I knew what a Vivid contract star was. I never was a Vivid contract. I knew what
you're thinking old school terms.
Yes, I know.
We're doing gray and sketchy.
But I've now seen
we're gray and sketchy.
Right. I've now seen this
money
word
off of things that
I've seen this word bop
trendy.
used in many different ways now, and I just want to know
what's your interpretation
exactly
of the bop?
what is it in the urban?
It is?
I think it is a girl that makes a lot of money and dances.
So what would you do
on
if
cars?
they were like, yes, you're
they have
exactly
nice cars,
right, and how would you audition for the bop?
They all have very expensive cars, and they dance on them. Most of them dance on them, right? Like some half and half.
Okay, so
or in front of them, or
how
on
would
them.
you audition
I don't
to be
have
a bop?
car.
But
I don't
how
have a
would
car.
you audition to be a bop?
I don't think you.
You're creative.
I don't think I can.
You would know.
I don't.
You're
I don't.
creative.
I don't think I could.
So you're
I think I'm too old. I don't
bopless.
think. I don't think I.
You're non-boppable.
I just want to know
non-boppable.
what is the difference between a bop and a porn star. That's all I want to know. I just would like somebody to answer that question.
The question is,
I don't have a car,
fucking matter because we're still gonna get fucked the same way as a bop and same way as a porn star. We're all gonna get fucked the same. It's whatever you label it.
Who do they work with?
Who cares?
I just wanted.
They probably work with their bopping ass boyfriends who are doing nothing but playing video games and just taking free pussy as they get a ride.
Well, you know,
most
I'm
of
just
them
saying,
in this generation,
I'm just saying,
I wouldn't put them past.
I just want to know. Maybe I should just subscribe and I could see what it is. You know,
stop being cheap, Joanna. Just subscribe. Subscribe and see what the bop life's about. If you want to join the Bop University,
I follow some of them on Instagram.
That's not enough. You need to subscribe to the program.
They must have like I don't know. Do they all go to the same car dealership? Because they all have really nice cars. And like so many of them. So I don't think I could be a bop because I do not have a car.
What do you think is bop qualities?
I don't know. Being
you have to
have to have a nice car and you have to know how to dance. And you have to be hot. And it seems like pretty young, like, you know, 21 to 25, I think, but I don't know. I can't tell. I keep seeing the word used in different ways. I thought I knew what it was, But now it just seems the word
now
has
you're
taken
really
on its
showing
own.
your fucking age.
I know.
You're really showing your
I
age
am showing my age. So I just wanted to know if you know, and you don't know either. So
I
clearly
told you what the general term was.
I know, but I
means,
think you don't know exactly what it is, because I don't know exactly what it is.
Oh, that fucks a lot.
I think you have to be in this particular.
I think that
think
one bop made that a whole fucking situation. But bop was around before that bop was bopping. Okay, so let's bop about it. You were a bop before her, and if you really were a bop, you would be proud about that bop and said I was Joanna Angel before you were bopping it out the womb. Bop, bop, bop.
But I never used that word. Like in my whole porn career, never have I used the word bop to describe what I do.
I wouldn't think you would.
Yeah,
at all.
I just said porn.
I definitely. So what's your bopping pleasure? What is
that? I don't think you know. I think.
Yeah, if you were a bop, what would be the thing? Would you be doing?
I guess I would just be doing porn, because that's. I don't know how to dance.
They're not just doing porn. They're like fucking and doing everything. They're bopping.
They're bopping.
This is a bop movement.
Have I bopped without knowing it?
You have bopped a movement before they called it bop.
When I lived in LA, I did have a car.
You were bopping around town.
And I drove a Porsche.
No.
But it was like a Macan. I don't think that's good enough to be a bop.
You need a $500,000 car.
I think I had the $80,000 Porsche.
You're not bot material.
I don't think I can do it.
Moving on.
They have like Bugattis and stuff. No, maybe not Bugatti. Like I don't even know enough about cars. I think they're Lambos.
The carless woman is talking about the cars we should be dancing.
They're always like yellow.
Don't say yellow.
No, I swear one of them has a yellow car. Okay, I'm not. Once again, I'm not hating on anyone. I just don't get it. Okay, maybe you guys are better.
What is your guilty pleasure off the clock? Okay, let's not talk about bops.
Yeah,
what's your guilty pleasure?
What's my guilty pleasure? Oh, well, I am not guilty about any. Well, I'm not guilty about anything, but I have been.
It's like guilty pleasure, you know.
I have been. I mean, I have been running marathons, which I really love.
Okay.
You know, that's been. That was one of the reasons I wanted to leave LA is because I really did feel like I just my whole life was just porn. And I didn't have any hobbies anymore, and I did. You get like, especially when you run your own business. I don't know, it just happens. And so I like to keep doing things that actually I don't make money off of it all. They cost me money.
Hobbies.
The hobbies, yeah. Hobbies. So I have been running marathons, and I absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
And I think New York City is just like the most magical place to run a marathon. Like it's such a I don't know. It feels like you're having sex with the city, and it is really like a city. Like I've run everywhere in New York now, like to the edges, of Brooklyn or Queens. Like I've run the Brooklyn Marathon now twice. I've run the New York Marathon, the New York Half Marathon. Like I've run all the way to Coney Island. And it's just like
That's
you can
awesome.
run anywhere in the city, and it's so beautiful. I actually just a few weeks ago, for the first time, I ran the Disney half marathon, and it was so much fun. You run through Disney like when it's closed.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, so you go there at like 5 a.m, so you get to run through the park before it's open. So I have like and the characters are out like waving to you and stuff.
That's fun.
It's really
Who's your
fun.
favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character is Minnie Mouse. I mean, of course, like I actually like. I love Minnie Mouse.
Come on, you did a naughty Minnie Mouse thing for
No,
sure.
I would never do that. I can't. That's too sacred. I could never do that.
You have boundaries.
To
I like
Minnie,
that.
yeah. And I think she is her own brand, and she doesn't need Mickey weighing her down. I think she doesn't need him. Like she is her own.
This is your alter ego speaking directly to private talk and saying Minnie doesn't need any man to bring her down. Mickey, I'm sorry, but get the fuck out the way. Minnie is going
when
to
was
flourish.
younger, I remember when my parents took me to Disney, how they have those autograph books. I remember I got all the characters to like sign the autograph book, but Minnie Mouse was missing. I told my parents. I remember telling my mom I'm not leaving until we find Minnie. And like my parents, like they wanted to leave, and then they wound up buying like extending the trip an extra day.
This bitch
And I was running around the parking lot. My dad was like, "Where the fuck is she?"
Did you find her?
We found her.
Was it like the beginning of the day or end of the day?
It was everything I wanted it to be.
Was it the end of the day?
Yeah, it was the end of the day.
They're like, thank fucking God.
Yeah. They're like, what the hell? You know, so she's special, you know? She's like, it's hard to find her.
Minnie has a special place in Joanna Angel's heart.
Yeah, she's Minnie, you know? She's the matriarch of the Disney family.
And we will forever keep her safe, non-sexual at all
Yeah.
times.
But I will say, after going on a date and, you know, whatever, even though he was really nice, sorry, I'm bringing it back to the beginning. I just want to put it out there. So I changed my dating profile app. I now put it to only women. So ladies, and look, as you can see, I cut my nails. I have the TikTok lesbian nails. And I am available.
Not the TikTok lesbian nails. So you're only.
But I'm trying to hit on girls.
To fuck girls.
No, I would totally date a woman. I've always wanted to. I would totally marry a woman.
Okay.
It's never happened. I don't know. It's never really. Yeah.
And even with all over the years.
Yeah. No.
Do you think it's because it was always
like?
But is it all because you think that you had you too, and maybe you didn't know that you really liked vagina as much as you did?
No, I think it just, I don't think I was, I don't know, I just don't think I ever,
or maybe
every girl I've ever hooked up with, either, I guess, on camera or off camera, is, you know, likes guys and girls. I don't think I've, you know what I mean, and mostly dates men.
But you also,
I guess I haven't had sex with many like lesbians
too.
I do like men.
So I think that.
But do I kind of hate men? But you know,
maybe
I
like now because you're going through a breakup.
I mean, I like having sex with men. I do.
But that's what I'm saying is like, so if you take all of that off the table, off of what you're saying based off the women, right? I think that it's time and place. So it's like if you're open to being sexually vibrant to a woman, not just fucking them for pleasure. Work, I actually
have never. I've never like. Yeah, I've fucked, obviously, you know, a lot of girls.
You
on
have?
Camera. Oh, you one of them.
You put my ass in a window, bitch. You got stuck. You got stuck, but I got out.
But I don't. I've never like gone on a date with a girl. You know, it's always been like another girl. And it's really that when I was in college, there were like girls I hooked up with like at a party or like you know, whatever.
College is always your like the experimental stage.
Right? Yeah, but I've never like gone on a date with a woman. Yeah,
but you want to.
Yeah, I want to. I really do. That. Yeah, I really
think
want
it's a great time. I think that at this point, it's like also too is like you've been married. Yeah. You've been in serious relationships. You've been in
and now I've been
industry.
in these things that I didn't know. It's very, very a big thing right now. I had to experience it. I think I still am right now.
What is this TikTok
A situationship.
Oh.
It really is not. It's not fun.
You were currently in one?
I think I am in one.
Oh,
actually.
You're in one right now.
Yeah. So hopefully it's not. I'm not in it anymore when this episode comes out. It's really. It's really
this is not the date person that you or someone else. She said, "Oh,
wait, who? What
you said you wanted a date, and you're like, well, hopefully by this time I haven't ghosted him. I talked to him, so maybe this is someone else. Maybe she's just actively ghosting people at this stage of her life." What situationship do you think you're in, and why?
I am in one. You know, I can't believe it happened
who's
to me.
making it a situation? You or him?
Oh, him.
So you were a booty call, and then you just caught feelings.
No. I think another thing I've learned, in addition to kind of learning what a bop is on Instagram, a situationship is particularly when somebody goes after you, like, you know, and then you're like, okay,
love
fine,
bomber.
You know, a love bomber, and then you're like, okay, you like me. Yes,
no,
I'll give you a chance.
Fuck you.
Right, but they really like it was their idea, you know. Like I'm just over here,
always their
so
idea,
it's their
bitch.
idea, and they say you know, and then finally you're like, okay, yeah, sure. Oh, I'm here. I'm into this. Let's do it. And
I
then
have nothing else.
And then
so I'm gonna throw it at
right, yeah. And you're just like, you know, I don't even know if I like this guy this much, but you know, he likes me so much. This will probably be fun, you know, to have somebody so obsessed with me. And then, you know,
these are
3 weeks later
red
or
flag,
whatever.
Red flag.
I know. You know, but the sex can be so good. It's really hard to. And then you don't even know. And then you're like, well, what happened? This was your idea. I'm here.
You're drunk is what happened. You need to take.
I'm in love.
No, in love. Oh my god!
I know. I fall in love with everybody.
Where's my wine? In love,
I actually do fall in love with everybody.
Okay, I understand you.
Yeah.
You want to be loved, so therefore you love everybody.
You know what? I also do love to love.
No, and I understand that, but it's also like people, because I'm also like, I always say this, like people like, I'm such a hard exterior and whatever. But
yeah, you are. Nobody could love bomb you.
But for me but they have. And the thing is, I'm a delicate flower too. When I'm in my intimate moments and I'm having a man be in my face and being those things because I am, and like I've let those walls down for whatever reasons, little whatever, peeking, whatever. You go through those things and I go through the field things too, but it's like we also too have to be cognizant of like we're at this big age in our life that if I can't see a gaslighter gaslighting me and even just being real with ourselves, like what the fuck are we doing? Because sex is sex and sex can be great, but I can go make money off porn and do
I know.
But the emotion, take that out of it. And then, but the thing is like, but take that out for the wrong people. The right people deserve it, and you deserve love and those things too. So that's like, that's the thing is too, is like there's an after love of those things, and you've been married and you've been in those situations, but it's like you can't sell yourself short because the instant gratification.
I know. Oh, stop being so logical.
Dr. Texas without no PhD, but a bitch knows some things.
It is crazy, it is weird when, or I don't know, when we go through these things, we get worshipped by the world, and everyone wants to.
But can I tell you this right now? And this
it's like not right when we get rejected.
But this is what it's like. It's because you need the validation from a human being to touch you in a loving way other than a sexual way. You need to be hugged. You need to be coddled. You need to be like hugged and like snuggled. And that's not a bad thing. You're human. It's human interaction. But and I think because that's what you chase. I don't even know if it's oxytocin or whatever that means or whatever. But if you're chasing that high of what that next thing is because we know what the sex euphoric feeling is. But we want that other, I think it's serotonin of like what that means of like whatever. But it's like you want that comfortability of that safety. And that's what we're earning. And that because
we don't really get that.
No, because we know sexually that we can use our thing.
Exactly.
But it's like, you earn for those things. And that's,
that's to human,
1,000. But thing is like, but own that.
Yeah.
Like, but be in that situationship and know that, but don't take it for granted. Know that and take that, and you can leave it when you want to. Don't let them have ownership of that from you. For me, is like I can
control the situation.
I can have situationships now, but I know that I'm respected, that I'm having a good time, and I'm having a good thing on my own terms. And then when it doesn't become that way and it feels icky or whatever, I can remove myself because that. To me is then why be in a relationship, because that's a relationship.
No, you're
situationship
right.
is like you take the emotions out of it.
Well, clearly you are more mentally stable than me.
Hey, we all need friends that are here to not be yes fans, but to be.
Thank you. I needed to hear that. You are a
strong
woman.
But we all give things to certain things. Whatever is why I wanted to sit down with you as well. Is like I look up to you for a lot of things, and like how you've been so still current in the business and still being whatever. I know that there's struggles of highs and lows or whatever, but you're still doing it. You go to AVN, people are recognizing you. You have, you know what I mean? You're doing your thing.
It's, I've really, done my best to, it's been a journey, like
been around the world. I still find my Joanna. Woo.
Thank you for instilling some confidence in me. Yeah. It has been the last few months of my life has been so strange. It's like I feel like I'm living in a dream. I feel like I'm at, like, when you watch a series and there's that one season that everybody's like, oh, that season, like nothing happened, but it was very important because it led up to the next season. Yeah. I'm like in the season where not much is happening.
But the thing is,
but like the next season's good, but I'm putting a lot of things in order for the next season to happen.
And look, I'm proud of you. You show up every time. You reach out. You do all the things, and that's all that we can ask of you. And only you will know what your season, your reason, and all of those things are. But you're doing it. Yeah. And you don't need a relationship. You don't need anybody else's. You started this by yourself.
I don't need to be a bop.
No. You are the bop before the bops happen. But you know what I mean? It's like you did this without anybody.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're going to continue to leave your legacy by yourself. And not that mean that you're not going to be in a partnership with somebody, but you don't need anybody to like flourish what that is. Like you've instilled, you're a creative person. You're a sexual, amazing female that like you're very empowering to other people. Like you just live in your truth. And that's all that
Alexis.
you need.
Oh, well, you are such a strong force to be reckoned with. You are no one could fuck with you. No one would. You would never be in a situationship.
I have been in situationships. The thing is, like, we think that even the strongest people, like
it's always everybody's kryptonite,
have been in those things too, is because everyone wants to love, and that's not a bad thing. Is like, but it's also determining and knowing like the boundaries of what your threshold is.
I know.
And you deserve,
I think
you deserve the world.
I deserve the world.
1,000.
You're right.
You better let them know. Private talk.
Yep.
Hey, Miss Joanna Angel, is there any question you would like to ask Miss Texas?
What has been your favorite place to eat since you've moved out here?
You know, there's like to know. So many great food places in New York that you could like literally for a lifetime eat at different places.
It's true.
And never be at the same place. But I've had a lot of great food. It's hard to pick just one. I mean, my frequent ones that I like Say Less. I'm very there's certain things that I like crave there at certain times that I have to go
What's your favorite thing? What do they have? That like Cheeto something? Those like Cheeto.
I don't even know what the Cheeto thing is.
There's like or is it a Dorito thing? What is it? Okay. They've got that is like that's very good. That's very good stoner. They have like stoner food.
I definitely frequented my weed, but
like high end stoner food.
But I definitely have to try that one.
Yeah.
And then I started going to a place that was called Fly Fish that has really great, like just amazing seafood place, whatever. And then I also, oddly enough, the place I probably go the most is Pergola, but people just know them as a nightlife, but their food is amazing.
Oh, like I didn't know that it was even a restaurant.
So good. It's like a fusion of Mediterranean, Persian type of thing, but everything is delicious. So,
next time you go,
last question.
Let me know.
Got one?
I think that's all. That's no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. One dirty question before we get out of here.
Oh, a dirty question. Okay, for me.
What's the naughtiest thing that you have done not on camera?
Ooh. Okay. What is the naughtiest thing? I've done a lot of naughty things lately.
Yeah, lately I like that. Yeah, timestamp that bitch.
Oh, what's the naughtiest thing I've done?
If I was a bop, my innocence would be.
I mean,
Joanna, don't be playing like you're a fucking virgin.
I know.
You're not.
Okay, I mean, there was one. This was a long time ago.
Sure.
Like a long time. It was a long time ago. Yeah. It wasn't on camera. And a guy took me on a date. And it was like a Valentine's Day date.
Okay.
And he happened to take me.
No,
there was no.
I
know. This was before that, you know. This is before.
Size matters.
This was before that star was born.
Before that, book was
that, open. Before that book was open, and he, so he took me on a date to this bar, and it just so happened that at that bar, the bartender of that bar was a guy that I was like kind of seeing. A guy who I was in a situationship with before that word was invented.
Karma.
Yeah. And it was like, and we were in that time in the situationship where like the sex was so good and everything else was terrible, it was so toxic, but with really good sex, and we kept looking at each other, and like he was the bartender, he wasn't even the waiter, so I'm on my date, and the other guy, he's really nice, and I don't know, I just like at some point, I don't even know, this like force, like just I was like, I have to go to the bathroom, and I didn't really have to go. I fucked him in the bathroom during the date, and then I don't even know how it happened, and he like fed me over the sink, and he called me a whore, and it was so cool.
Where?
No, that was before.
You hadn't even.
No, I didn't know how to do that yet. But and then I felt bad, so I did go home.
Not the felt bad.
I did feel bad. I mean, it wasn't very nice. So I did go home with the date, and I did fuck him.
Oh,
I
so
did
nice
fuck
of
him.
you.
Yeah, and then I'm laying there after we fuck, and he's like, "Oh, like, I can't wait to make you breakfast in the morning," and like whatever. And then I see like on my phone, and this was when like this was like when texts were like barely, there was like 2 letters, like
You up?
yeah,
It was a
come
symbol.
here.
You up.
Yeah,
With
and
the
I was like,
pointing.
oh, I have to get up really early in the morning. I think I'm gonna go, and like this is way before Uber. Like, he's like, how are you? And, like,
You had to ride
yeah.
outside from the other dude that you just.
on the outside. I was like, oh, I gotta go.
Did he lie to you? Oh, so you
And
were
then, yeah.
dripping out.
Yeah,
you
and
were
then I
just-
went back to the other guys.
And then he ate.
No, he didn't.
Don't lie.
I don't remember what.
You made him.
No, I don't think he did. We did not have that kind of relationship. He just that really.
Dick sucking only.
He just threw me down. And I will say, karma got me because I remember this guy. Well, he was also young and a fucking bartender who, whatever, who lived, I don't know, whatever. Whatever. He had a dog, and clearly, at the time, I was like, what a bad dog. But I think he was really the bad owner looking back on it now, You were probably the. I feel bad for
coming
them.
back
Yeah.
to me
So-
now.
So he had this dog, and so like we fucked like all night or whatever, and like his dog in the middle of the night. No, this is not going where you think it's going. His dog ate my shoe. This was in New York, this was in New York, and this way before Uber, and this was in Brooklyn. When Brooklyn was not so cool. So the dog ate like my shoe. There was like. It was like this much of the shoe left, there was like
So
just
you had
like
one shoe on.
and it was snowy and icy outside. And of course, in the morning, this guy was not going to make me breakfast. He's like, basically was like, get the fuck out.
So how'd you get home?
More or less. I had walked with my one shoe in the ice to the train, like 7 blocks in Brooklyn, when it was not
Did you
like
get
the Brooklyn that it is
sick
today. It was
afterwards?
like the hood,
Did you get hit on?
What?
Did you get hit on?
I don't remember getting hit on at that point in time, but yeah, I went on the train and I was like, and I deserved it.
So it was a walk of shame.
It was definitely
a hobble of shame.
It was a hobble
of shame.
A
Joanna
bop of
Angel.
shame. Maybe that's what
This is why you'll never be a bop, because bops don't hobble to a train.
It's true. They're
going to
they
the
have a
Lamborghini.
helicopter come pick them
Their
up.
Lamborghini knows their pinpoint where they're tracked
Yeah.
on the Apple
Yeah,
fucking
they have
tag.
their
We'll
private
pick them
helicopter,
up,
yeah.
and they will know.
They
that
will know. That would never happen to them. They would have a ride.
Last and final question.
I don't think bops take the train.
No, they don't. Definitely don't. With all of that being said, what is your biggest pet peeve sexually?
My biggest pet peeve.
Sexually.
I mean,
That was
I
a big bop moment.
was a pet peeve.
But like that's
Okay.
a given. That's a given.
That is a given. Yeah. Okay. I don't like it when guys try to be dominant that aren't.
So they choke you.
I actually,
and
you know,
it's not
yeah,
happening.
and it's like this thing where it's like then I have to go to the space. It's like, should I pretend I'm actually like, oh, daddy, like, it's like, just don't try, like, unless we actually have a dynamic where
Yeah.
you are.
Daddy.
Like, if you're dominating me, and it's pretty hard to dominate me, but
Daddy
some guys
is
can
like
do
a
it.
deserving word. You can't just
Yeah.
be called like that without you not
And
being.
then I don't want to ruin the moment. Like, I've had this happen where it's like, and I feel like the guy is like, oh, Joanna, she likes rough sex, so let me try to be rough, and it's like so awkward, and clearly they don't, and then I know if I call attention to that, it's going to be even more awkward, so I have to kind of go along with it, like, oh no, like, I don't know, it's like, just You know what? I guess
Sounds like you're having horrible sex over there.
No, I'm not.
Like,
I'm not. That's like, that was a guy I didn't fuck him again. But like, I guess when somebody's not being themselves in bed in general, it's just you have to.
Don't play the script. Show
Yeah, just be who you are. You know.
Bring that sling it. Baby.
Yeah, exactly. Just be who you are in bed. You know, it's not. Nobody wants. You don't like it when a girl fakes it. You know. It's like I don't like it when anybody fakes it, you know. Just be you, you know, and just let it flow.
Be you. I love that, and I love
be
you.
yourself.
Thank you so much for being a part of Private Talk. Please let us know where we can subscribe to you, where we can follow you, where you can do all the things.
OnlyFans.com/Joanna Angel. You can find me on Instagram at Joanna Angel. You know, that's how you know we're old. I actually have my name on Instagram, which means
that means you're fucking awesome. You're an OG. Stop talking about yourself
negatively.
No, words are powerful.
It's part of my charm.
And just because you wear dark clothes doesn't mean that you be dark about yourself. You're a beautiful, sexy,
and just sarcastic. But but just find me on OnlyFans. Find me on Instagram. Find me on Twitter. I guess I'm also on Minx. You know, where you can sext me. It's been really fun. It's, sexting, Skyping, and whatever. Yeah, and and just keep your eyes out. I have a bunch of new stuff coming soon. I can't talk about it yet, but I'm gonna have some new exciting things coming out in the future. Oh, and check out my Luigi porno. It's called New York NYC Assassin.
Ooh.
And I am Luigi's stepmom.
There you have it. Private Talk, thank you so much for listening, watching. Make sure you subscribe, and until we meet again.
Thank you.